Buongiorno e ciao a tutti. Welcome everyone to 4th season round 5 of RTTF Racing to the Fullest Tier 1 League in F1 2022. My name is Racing Mouse and I'm gonna be talking you through the race that is going to be unfolded here in Monza. Beautiful track, very simple. Not a particular fan of it, but many people are, so let's hope those guys are gonna get the spectacle this track deserves. It's obviously one of the longest tracks, sorry, not the longest, but the track that has been the longest in the calendar. A track with heritage, it was changed many times, obviously it doesn't have the banking corners now. But it's still very interesting, especially the turn 1, which is the cause of many incidents throughout many races of many different categories of racing mobiles. Hopefully we will have a clean start and clean run through the turn 1, that is very notorious through too many of the drivers. We saw that happen yesterday in Tier 2, let's hope that we will not have the repeat of that. I see the first cars are going out now. I saw a Red Bull, I think, that was probably a Red Bull of Corny. Yeah. We have Alfa Romeo of Fauas, and there's many new faces here during this race, so please forgive me if I pronounce any of those names wrong, or I mistake them for somebody else. Hopefully we can have a good race. And we already have yellow flags, that's not a perfect sign right off the bat. Okay, so the Alfa Romeo Fauas is the first one to exit the boxes. He's on his outlap now. And I really don't know many of the drivers' pace, so I'm just in the dark as many of you will be. If I had to pick favorites for this one, it would probably be either Jacob Snacks, he is very fast, maybe Igor or Agafa, the champion of the previous league and runner-up. Well, Door is also in the mix. And don't forget about Deflink, he was also a winner of Monaco Grand Prix, if I'm not mistaken. So here we are on board with Fauas on his flying lap. Cleared the turn 1 quite cleanly, and now into the heavy braking zone, into the second chicane. And neat and tidy on the exit, good exit speed, carried out through first and second Lesmos. And let's see. And now into the back DRC zone, the second one. And into Ascari chicane, here we are, very neat and tidy as well, good exit speed. And now on the last back straight. And the last corner, very famous Parabolica, the most beautiful corner on the track. He went a little bit wide on the exit, but that's okay. He still managed to keep it between the lines, and that's a benchmark for all the guys to try and hope over. And it was immediately beaten by Deflink, which was immediately beaten by Door again. So the competition is gonna be very narrow today, I assume. Door was again beaten by Jacob Snacks, who managed to pull out a 120 dead, which is a very decent time, I believe, in those cars at least. And let's see if anyone will be able to challenge Jacob Snacks. For now, I don't see anyone coming even close. I mean, Door is 2/10 off Jacob Snacks, but on track this simple with these little corners, it's really not that close. And we have a yellow flag in sector 1, that's I believe a Red Bull of Corny. yeah, so it would seem he was slowing down to make way for Nisi, I believe, in a Ferrari. So as it stands, the McLaren of Jacob Snacks is leading overall in timing, and there is another driver letting by the Ferrari. It was Defling, I assume. Let's see. No, that was not Defling, that was Bev Jesus, another Haas. Defling, meanwhile, starting another hot lap, or ending his hot lap right now. Let's see. He was very slow, 4 seconds down his previous time, so I assume he was recharging his battery and he's only now starting for a push lap. Good braking zone to turn 1, squeezed into first chicane, narrowly managed to keep it tight between the white lines as it should be. Bahrain barely left the session. I wonder if that was a connectivity problem or did he have a crash. There is a yellow flag in sector 3, but Defling setting a purple first sector. Again, very okay, a little bit scruffy in the second chicane, but tidy through the first Lesmos. Let's see if he will be able to pull up a decent sector 2 after that little bit of a mistake in the second chicane. Entering the second DRS zone now. Everything seems fairly okay for Defling as things stand. He's a little bit down on his best time, but maybe he will be able to improve into the Ascari chicane. No! He spun around and he touched the wall. That's not gonna be a decent time, that's not gonna be a time at all. That's gonna be deleted because he exceeded the track limits and somebody crashed into him. Somebody just killed Defling. That was a bizarre incident. I wonder who that was. That was a Mercedes, but a Mercedes of who? Both Mercedes cars are out on the track. And that was Scrablord, I believe. And Scrablord was disqualified from the session. Because he was not able to return to the track in time. He was trying to let the other cars by, and now we have 2 cars out of qualifying. So Scrablord will definitely be starting from the back. Defling was able to set a time that put him on 7th place for now, but he still might be put down a little bit as the track progresses and becomes less green as the cars rubber out the track. Honestly, I don't know what happened. Scrap must have lost the rear tires the same way as Defling did, and Defling was obviously there. Scrap did not slow down despite the yellow flags, and they came in contact with each other. Meanwhile, Scruffy, the first one to go below 120s with the time of 1:19.7, a very, very good time. Almost literally 3/10 faster than previous provisional pole sitter Jacob. And it's gonna be hard to beat Scruffy at this point. As we are following Raid, who is now warming up his tires, trying to go for a perfect outlap. Let's maybe go and ride on board with him for the time being. I don't see many incidents brewing up on the minimap. I see a Ferrari, probably of Vlad the Midman, letting by other cars. But now, here we go for a ride with Raid. No pun intended. Let's see if he will be able to stop in time for the notorious turn 1. That looked like a good braking zone, neat and tidy. Squeeze the car right through. And we have another yellow flag in sector 3. I don't see anyone stopped. I think that was just a car slowing down, charging his batteries to go for a fast lap. Okay, second chicane, good braking zone. Very clean on the exit, no additional slip. And now for the first Lesmos. A little bit shaky on the exit, but still quite quick. And the second Lesmos very quick on the exit, good ride on the curb. Now into the second DRS zone. And into Ascari chicanes we go. Let's see if he will be able to improve. He will. He is now 2/10 down on his personal best time. Will he be able to improve overall? There is one notorious parabolica left to conquer. Let's see. Braking zone at 50 meters mark. He nailed that completely. A little bit shaky on the exit, very tight. but I think he's gonna improve. He will improve. Right now, second driver to go into 190s. Very good time from the Danish driver. Sorry, I meant to say Dutch. Sorry, that I hope you did not hear that. I meant to say Dutch. And there is Jacob Snacks with a time of 119.8. Not as good enough for second, but not good enough to take provisional pole from Scruffy. And there's another yellow flag, that's Aston Martin of, I can only assume, Bahrain Berry. Yes, and there is a Ferrari in the gravel. Doesn't look like a DNF, but that's not gonna be what Mizi would have wanted. Fortunately, he was not disqualified. He was quick enough to go back to the track and I assume get out of the way of the what is that, a Williams or not? Yeah, that was a Williams. Williams of Peryland, I believe. Not entirely sure. Honestly, am I the only one who is confused by the 4 blue cars out there? Like, we have Alpine, we have Red Bull, we have Williams, and AlphaTauri to some extent. For me, it's quite confusing. And the greenish colors of Mercedes and Aston Martin do not help me with distinguishing the cars by this narrow stripe of color. And we have another off, that's Ek on the turn 1. He tried to go for additional thousandths of a second, braking as late as he possibly can for turn 1, and that has proven to be too late for the AlphaTauri driver. Two AlphaTauris actually coming together on this occasion. They are driving in a formation. Obviously this is their home race, as AlphaTauri is an Italian team owned by Red Bull, but its roots are very much Italian. As it was proven in 2020, I believe, yes, I think that was 2020, when Pierre Gasly won in an AlphaTauri car, to absolute delight of all the tifosis on the grandstands, who witnessed an Italian car making its way to the top step of the podium of their home Grand Prix. That was actually a brilliant race. I remember that that I watched it and my heart stopped a couple of times. Let me know in the comments if you feel the same about the 2020 Italian Grand Prix. For now we have many cars out on the track and many trucks out there in the pits. Seems like it's half and half. 9 cars in the pits, 9 cars on the track. Might be mistaken, but let's say it's equally spread. So half cars out on the track, but still no progress is being made. No one has been able to challenge Scruffy just yet. I wonder if anyone will be able to challenge him at all. And there is Igor, who picked up the glove with the time of 1:19.3. Absolutely stunning time from the Brazilian. He has managed to go half a second up on the provisional pole sitter and became a provisional pole sitter himself now in the Mercedes. That's gonna be hard to beat. As there is another yellow flag, that was Alfa Romeo letting by an Aston Martin driver, I believe. Seems like he'll be needing to do that one more time, as there is one more Aston Martin nearing its way towards the Fauas fellow. And now we have another car spun out in the gravel into the Ascari chicane. That was Raid this time. Raid, who managed to clear this corner no problem just a couple of minutes before, is now finding himself stuck in the gravel trap. Fortunately, he was able to make his car move out of the way before anything serious happened, like we saw that with the Deathlink. But that escapade into the gravel pit is not gonna help his chances of taking the provisional pole. And Bev Jesus retires from the session. Looks like a crash actually. There is a yellow flag in sector 2 and the white dot on the minimap is stopped dead in these tracks. So I can only assume that has been an accident in the second Lesmos or out of the second Lesmos. Possibly lost control and crashed into the barrier. Fortunately, it was cleared in time for Raid to make his way through the corner where Bev Jesus met his end. But there's another car in the gravel pit, the same one we have seen Raid just a lap before, and that is an Aston Martin, if I'm correct. He was out of the way for Raid. Hopefully he did not lose any time because of that. And that was an Alfa Romeo going very slowly. Raid tried to use the bit of a slipstream of it, and now Raid is out! He went off on Parabolica. Probably his tires were dirty from the gravel trap that he was stuck in one lap earlier, and now Raid is out as well. His time was good enough for 4th, but he will not be improving on this session. Maybe he was caught off guard by said Alfa Romeo driver, but I'm not really sure. It looked like a dangerous accident. Fortunately, we are not in real life. There is no need for the emergency services to make their way on the track and help him get out of the car. But it would definitely be a dangerous accident if it happened in real life. I can see we have a whole of 11 people tuning in for our stream. For those of you who joined just now, Igor is leading the qualifying. He sits on provisional pole with the time of 1:19.3, followed by Scruffy, who was sitting on the provisional pole for the most of the session, but was recently beaten by Igor. And we have a yellow flag in sector 1. And that's nothing major, I assume, only an Alfa Romeo making its way for the cars behind it. And Jacob Snacks crosses the line. He was not able to improve on his flying lap. He is now in the 3rd place overall. That's not bad. Aim, meanwhile, if I am not mistaken, was able to pull out a purple middle sector. Let's see if it will be enough to jump a place or two. It's obviously making use of the slipstream of the car ahead. And now we have Perrans crossing the line. He does improve, and Aim also improving, but by only 9 thousandths of a second, so not enough to jump a place. We still have Igor on the track, I believe. A Ferrari of Mizi, Alfa Romeo of Fawaz, and another Ferrari of Vlad the Midman. We have now Igor crossing the line. He does not improve, but that's not important because he's still on the pole. Vlad the Midman, meanwhile, improves. He was 7th, if I'm not mistaken. He is now 5th with a time of 1:20 dead. Mizi abandoning his hot lap, going straight into the pits. Fao was as well. And Splat Beef. No, sorry, that was... No, I said correct. That was Splat Beef. Also not improving, staying 10th. And that's gonna be qualifying over, I think. Yeah, when the guys in the pits slot into their garages, that's gonna be qualifying over. So, Igor takes the pole position for the race with a time of 1:19.3. So there you have it. Good qualifying, a couple of incidents, but nothing major. Obviously, Defling is not gonna be happy about his qualifying. All the other guys, I can only assume they will be content with what they did. So let's hope the race is gonna be a tiny bit more exciting, but with no major incidents as well. So it's gonna be like, I don't know, 2, 3, maybe 5 minutes until everyone picks their setup, strategy, fuel load, and we'll be right back for the race today. Okay, welcome back everybody. We have 10 more seconds and the race will be underway. I am joined now by Edgin. I was by
Hello,
myself
guys.
until now, but now I'm not. Edgin, who do you think will win?
Man, I did not see the qualifying. I do not know who did any practice. I do not know what has been happening. Who is it? Igor P1? Okay.
Yes, and it's lights out and away you go. All the guys had good starts, but the Aston Martin of Bahrain Berry had particularly good start. There is Scruffy going, challenging Igor for the lead, and now Igor has lost the place to Scruffy, and now he's almost lost the place from Raid. Raid on the 3rd place, obviously overtaken door to door losing 1 place, but Scruffy, an amazing start for the Red Bull driver, he's now leading the pack. Vlad the Midman pushing for the 4th place. Door to door is under danger. Wait a minute, my game was minimalized or something. Okay, we're now on board with Vlad the Midman, and door to door is pushing Raid for the 3rd place, but now is in danger of losing place to Vlad the Midman. We have a yellow flag. There is Aston Martin off, that's Bahrain Berry, and that's not gonna be an ideal start for him, but no major incidents. No one is DNF just yet. Let's see how it will turn out, and door to door comes out a little bit on top, and Vlad was compromised into the Ascari chicanes. He might lose a place to Jacob Snacks. And let's ride on board with him. He's now side by side with Vlad, and he's gonna be ahead when we come to Parabolica. Yes, he is. He's now ahead of the Ferrari. Amazing first lap. So Scruffy with the fastest lap of 1:24.3, that's not gonna be hard to beat, that's only first lap. Let's see, will Vlad challenge Jacob for the lead in turn 1? Sorry, not for the 5th place. He's thinking about it, but he has to slot in behind the McLaren. Out in front, Scruffy has made a little bit of a gap between himself and Igor managed to pull away 2 seconds from Raid on only 1 lap. That's a very good pace. So those two will be probably fighting for the lead unless we're gonna have a safety car. And now Splatbeef challenging Vlad for position yet again, and that's gonna be another McLaren Vlad has to worry about during this race. Devlin meanwhile making quick job from aim, but he's now being challenged and he lost 2 positions in 1 corner. That has been measly, and aim overtaking Devlin, but Devlin comes back at aim and he's now back to 10th. That was a good fight. He's gonna challenge Mizzy for the 9th maybe. He's very close. He's now side by side and they're gonna go together into the Ascari chicane. Devlin had a better line. He's now in front of the Ferrari and he's now into 9th. There's another Alpha Tauri of Ek in front of him, but that's a much longer way to go. Meanwhile, behind them, Leroy challenging aim for the 11th place. He's now side by side with Alpha Tauri, and maybe he's gonna come out ahead. No, he's been pushed wide and he has to make do with position that he has now. Meanwhile, Alfa Romeo's fighting in the back. Fawaz is challenging his teammate for the position, and someone dived in the pits. That's Daxter. Daxter surely had damage. That's no way this is a strategic decision to pit this early into the race. So, a lot to unpack during these first 3 laps. We have a yellow flag into sector 1. That's... What was that? That was an Alpine of Leroy.
Spin from Leroy, yeah, a spin from Leroy. And he's being overtaken by Bev Chezos now.
Yes. So Leroy, I don't see any damage on his car, but he lost a couple of positions
No
by
damage,
spinning into
but
turn 1.
whilst we're looking at them, Vlad actually got overtaken by Splatbeef's McLaren.
You're right. Vlad is now 7th. He might be able to come back at the McLaren. He now has DRS and he's trying to go from the left, but Splatbeef closed the door. Vlad has now the better line and he's now back again in front of the McLaren of Splatbeef. And now Vlad spins! An amazing turn of events. Now Vlad lost many places. I think that was like 5 or 6 places in the span of 1 corner. He's gonna lose another one. Oh wow, that's almost ended in a disaster for Tundra and Fawaz. They almost collided with Vlad the Meatman, who tried to make up a place, almost succeeded in doing so, but lost his car on the way out of Ascari chicane and now lost, I don't know, like 6 places. And now he's gonna lose another one.
Yeah, Fawaz is gonna overtake him now, I think. No, he's not. I don't think he's gonna make it all the way to turn 1.
Oh, Vlad left the session.
I think that might be a bug where he's lagged out.
I think he's disconnected from the session because of the internet issues. So his car jumping forward and backwards. And now Alfa Romeo is in front of him.
It's 1 more position lost for Vlad.
Meanwhile, Ek thinking about overtaking Splatbeef, the 2 McLarens going together. Splatbeef obviously lost a lot of ground because of the fight with Vlad, but now he's gonna gain one because door to door is in the gravel trap. Oh, and Ek almost collided with what was that? The Haas of Devlin. Devlin very quick on the turn. He lost the place to Ek yet again, but that almost ended up in a disaster for both of them. Fortunately, Devlin was quick enough to avoid the Alpha Tauri. They now go side by side into the turn 1. Devlin inching ahead in front of the Alpha Tauri. He has the better line. He is now in front of the Alpha Tauri, but Ek tries to get back at him into turn 1. He cannot do so, and now Devlin is up to 6th. McLaren of Splatbeef not far away from where he is now.
It's a lot to unpack. I'm looking at P13 and P14. Corny and Vlad pushing each other and shoving each other. As Corny gets the position on Vlad's, I think, AI car.
Yeah,
I don't know if he's
definitely.
connected back yet.
Definitely Vlad is now piloted by an AI. We saw him disconnect and he did not reconnect as of yet. Yeah, now Vlad the Meatman has joined. Let's see if he'll be able to make up the ground he lost into that Ascari chicane. And meanwhile, Igor is keeping pace with Scruffy somewhat. He did not lose too much time to the race leader, but Raid has lost additional 1.4 seconds to the second place. So the gap between second and third keeps widening. And if it was not enough bad news for Raid, Jacob Snacks is actually trying to get into the DRS range. He's not quite in there yet, but actually he is. He has the DRS wing wide open and he's now inching towards Raid's car, and that's gonna be difficult to keep him behind.
Deathlink is just pulling alongside Splatbeef now, overtaking him right on the straight and into turn 1. Beautiful overtake from Deathlink.
And he's now ahead of the McLaren. Deathlink is honestly flying out there. He had trouble in qualifying. He was taken out by another spinning car of Scrap, but he's making up places like a madman. Obviously contender for driver of the day, but will he be able to pull out enough places to actually challenge for the lead or maybe a podium places? As we have another car exiting the pits, that's Corny. Corny seemingly had some trouble on the first couple of laps. As I said before, I don't think that was a strategy choice. He might have some damage that he needed to fix in the pit stop.
It seems like the race is stabilizing, with people building bigger and bigger gaps in between each other.
Yeah, fortunately, because I am out of breath after those five first laps.
That was a lot of fighting, and we have no vehicles that have DNF, so it's great. Of course, now I have cast upon them the commentator's curse, so we'll see how it goes.
Hopefully nothing major. We managed to clear the first corner in the first lap, so there is that. Splatbeef still fighting with Egg. Egg is trying to challenge the McLaren for the 6th place. And we have a yellow flag, and that's Scruffy. The leader of the race has made a mistake as Egg makes an overtake on Splatbeef. I think they made contact with each other. And Splatbeef is actually spun around, maybe, perhaps. I don't know what happened there, and now he's definitely spun around as he rode the wall, and he probably lost the front wing as well. He's not gonna be able to actually come back on the track because of all the cars that are trying to make the race. He might be disqualified for stopping in that place. And we have a safety car. That's fortunate for Splatbeef. He will not be disqualified from the session, but there is another car on the side of the road on the left hand side. That was door-to-door's Aston Martin. Okay, thankfully, and door-to-door has been disqualified from the session. I was just about to say, thankfully we didn't have any disqualifications during that incident, but
That's unfortunate, honestly.
that was not his fault. He did not have a choice but to stay on the sideline and wait for the other cars to pass. But the game is relentless if it comes to stopping outside of the track. It disqualifies you right away. So, Ek is somehow first, as I think Igor, Raid, Jacob Snacks, Scruffy, Deathlink, Aim, Fawaz, Tundra, Mizzy, Periland and Bev Jesus, all of those drivers decided to go into the pits.
Yeah, but Ek is running on a hard tire strategy, so he's not able to pit right now. If he pits right now, he's going to be trapped doing another pit stop sooner or later.
That's true, I don't have the tires situation
He has 7-lap-old
displayed
parts.
to me. Let me quickly fix that. Now we have tires available for all to see. And as we can see, Edgin is correct. He started the race on the hard tires, so it would be a mistake for Egg, as would it be for Leroy and Splatbeef to pit this early on. So, Egg is gonna be leading the race after the restart, but Igor is now on the fresher tires. He also opted to go on hards, as did Raid actually, so the second and the third place will be a grave danger for Egg ahead of them. By the way, Scruffy, who was leading the race, is now on medium compound, as is Jacob Snack, so those two might actually come back on Igor and Raid, but will they be able to hold on to those tires until the end of the race? I wonder. Honestly, that's such an interesting
Gonna be
development.
very,
The safety
yeah.
car at this point is a total game changer. Oh, Hedgin, take it from me for a mere moment. I need to catch my breath.
I mean, at the moment, we're gonna have the safety car for another 1, maybe 2 laps until everybody gets bunched up again, and then we'll see everyone again. I wonder when Eck and Leroy, Leroy, and Splatbeef are actually running on 8-lap old hards. Daxter running on 6-lap old hards, and Bahrain Berry on 7-lap old hards. So these are drivers that pitted within the start of the race, within the first couple of laps. It'll be interesting to see what they do with their strategy as the race goes on, because to be honest, they're not going to be able to finish on this set of tire. Obviously, they have to switch once. Either they go for hard to soft, which is quite frankly doable from what I know on Monza, or they go for the medium tire, which does seem like the obvious choice in order to maintain some of the pace. And go into the pits around, what would you say, Mouse? Lap 19, 18? I think that's a good
Yeah,
choice.
if they are to pit, the lap around 18, 19 would be the best choice, unless we're gonna have a second safety car, which is very much a possibility. We've seen many drivers spin out in the Lesmos corners, and during qualifying I think we had like 5 or 6 spins into the exit of Ascari chicanes. So yeah, I'm predicting we might have another safety car, and the strategy of Egg and Leroy might actually turn out to be the superior one. But as I'm saying that, we actually have the confirmation from race control. The race is gonna be on their way, and Egg is gonna be leading the restart. Bev Jesus has been awarded a 5-second time penalty for severe collision with Periland. I wonder what that means, severe collision.
Tundra, Pearland, and Beth have 5-second penalties. I think they were bunched up and they ended up going into each other.
Might
Yeah,
be
Beth
the
left
case.
a massive gap left by Beth in between him and the rest of the cars.
Igor turning now Egg for the lead, but he was too far behind to do that into the turn 1 without DRS assistance. Egg still leading the race with Raid not far behind. Still in the mix is Jacob Snacks on fresher tires, and right behind him, sniffing his gearbox, is Scruffy in the Red Bull. I wonder how will that turn out.
Scruffy's very aggressive here, right on the back of Jakob, trying to get in as much air as possible just to try to get the car and move around the corners.
I think Bev just might have damage because he's now spun around and he's now last.
I mean, it's possible because he received that 5-second penalty due to collision during safety cars. It's possible that during that collision he actually broke his wing.
Definitely so, but now here we are with Igor, very close to Egg, riding his slipstream. He is now pulling beside him, and he now has the inside line into Parabolica. He is now an inch ahead of the Alpha Tauri, and he is now all the way ahead of the Alpha Tauri. Raid trying to make use of that gap that forced Egg wide. He is now sniffing his gearbox as he has been sniffing it for like previous lap. Will he be able to make use of that? No. Ek is now actually challenging Igor for the lead, and he has now better line out of the first corner. He is now a little bit ahead of Igor, but Igor will be able to go back at him, and now they go side by side into the Curva Le Grande, and now Ek is inching ahead of Igor. He's now have the inside line, and he's now ahead of the Mercedes. Amazing racing.
Honestly, Mouse, this is great. It's amazing to see everyone bunched up so close again, and every single time there's a safety car, there's more close racing. You can see Tundra going up on Splatbeef, Deathlink pushing up, trying to overtake Leroy, trying to get his position back.
There is action everywhere on the track now.
Corny in the back, fighting with Scrub.
Igor still was pushing Egg for the lead. He's still just inches away from the Alpha Tauri's rear spoiler, and now he's side by side with him yet again. But Scruffy somehow made his way through Raid. We've completely missed that, but Scruffy is now third, and he's gonna be wanting to come in front of the sister team. And now I go 3 wide into the pit straight. Amazing to see who will come out on top into the first corner. Ek is now third behind those two guys. Scruffy looks to be leading the pack yet again, and Igor thinking about an overtake but has to back out, and he has been touched by Ek, I assume. I honestly don't know what's happening. I do know that Scruffy is leading the race, Igor is second, and Raid was challenging Ek for third but had to back out. But now he's coming back at him into Curva Grande again, and Raid now is ahead of Ek, and Ek is being changed by Jacob Snacks. Amazing racing.
It's a terrible strategy choice from Ek to remain on the hards. He's now going to get overtaken by every single person with fresh tires. Ooh, but he's fighting hard against the position with the Echo. Oh, into Ascari.
That was
a tight squeeze for Jakob there.
Yeah, but the textbook overtake into the DRS zone even before the Ascari chicane was there. Jacob pulled out ahead in front of the Alpha Tauri. But now Defling, in the 7th place, is thinking about an overtake on Leroy and on Ek in the process. Leroy is now ahead of the Alpha Tauri, but Jacob managed to just come at them in the spawn of one corner. Into the Parabolica we go, and now Jacob is gonna pull out side by side with the Alpha Tauri. He has the DRS, Ek does as well, so he will not be able to do anything about that into the turn 1. Or will he? He's thinking about dive, but no, he thinks better of it. He thinks about having a better exit of the turn 1 maybe, but no. Here they are, Scruffy leading from Igor, from Raid, from Jacob Snacks, then Leroy and Ek fighting together for the 5th place, and Defling trying to pick scraps out of those two fighting. Oh, and now a
wobble from Leroy.
Yeah, a bit of a wobble moment, but Defling managed to make advantage out of that perfectly. He managed to overtake 2 cars in one go. Meanwhile, Bahrain Berry has been awarded a 3-second time penalty for cutting corners. An amazing stuff for the Haas driver. He's being challenged now, but nothing major. He managed to keep the position. Ek has now been overtaken by his teammate, possibly some team orders going on at Alpha Tauri. Aim, who has fresher tires, has now been awarded the place of his teammate. So, what do we have here? Periland actually overtaking Fauas now into the Parabolica as well. And Bahrain Berry fighting with Bev Jesus, very close to each other. Bahrain Berry managed to go ahead of Bev Jesus, but Fauas might be able to go ahead of Periland yet again. Now at this occasion though, Periland was way ahead of him into the first corner, so Fauas had nothing to say about that. Jacob Snacks meanwhile challenging Raid for the 3rd place, the podium place. He was much closer before the 2nd chicane and before the Lesmos corners. He's now half a second down on him, but he will have the DRS assistance into the Ascari chicane. Let's see if he will be able to manage to squeeze something out of that. Still a little bit too far behind the Williams driver. But
there's so much happening on track right now.
Yes, Daxter retired from the session.
DNF.
I think he retired in the pits.
Yeah.
I mean, he was almost a lap down. That's not a big surprise. He opted to just end this race early and save himself any more pain. Now Jacob is challenging Raid. They are side by side into the first corner. Raid has a slightly better line into the turn 1 we go, and they touched, but Raid is still able to pull out ahead of Jacob Snacks. So he is able to keep the position. Splatwave meanwhile has been awarded a 5-second time penalty for speeding in the pit lane. Splatbeef coming in for the for the third stop. He was out on the hard tires for the entirety of the race. He decided that it's best to discard those used hards and hop on the fresh set of mediums. There is so many things happening on the track, as you said, Edgin, that I'm struggling to keep up with everything.
It's difficult.
It is difficult, but still, the fight between Jacob and Raid is probably the most interesting thing happening right now. We have the McLaren of Splatbeef challenging Raid for position for 2 laps straight. Will he be able to pull out ahead of him on this particular occasion? And not really. We had a crash. There is 2 guys stationary on the back straight.
Ek has had a spin completely. Or I think it might have collided with Leroy.
Yep,
Maybe.
Leroy and Ek lost many places. Leroy is now 12. Ek is dropping down to 15 even. 16, sorry. Even
Oh,
17.
He spins again, breaks
And
his
he
wing
spun again.
completely.
Yep. That would do it. And he probably overcooked his tires. And so had Leroy. He's diving into the pits, discarding the tires he has been on for the whole race, hopping on the new fresh compound. But that's not the best strategy choice. Obviously, he's gonna end up probably last, honestly, even behind Splatbeef. Yeah, and the wing change as well. That's gonna be painful for Leroy. Meanwhile, Scruffy has managed to get clear of the DRS danger of Igor, but not for long. Igor has managed to keep up with him somehow and make up the lost ground into the back DRS zone.
This is bad news for Scrappy because he's running on medium tires. Igor can actually take these hards all the way to the end.
Yes, definitely. And Igor is keeping pace with him, so the moment that mediums are gonna go away, Igor is gonna get on top of the situation and overtake Scruffy, I assume. Red, meanwhile, have been awarded a time penalty. That means both Deathling and Jacob Snacks are virtually ahead of him now.
Yeah, Raid is definitely gonna have to start increasing his pace, try to get up the leaderboard.
Although both Jacob and Deathling are on medium tires as well. I honestly cannot make heads or tails how this race is gonna end up.
Can you imagine the sheer amount of maths that these guys have got going through their heads? Or they're just slamming medium tires on and saying, yes, I can make it, I'm hoping it.
Depends on the guys in question, but yeah, I assume there are some of them that actually do the maths and are worried about if they're gonna make it or not. And there are some more light-hearted drivers that are just like, if I make it, I make it.
Yeah.
Why bother thinking about it?
As Pocket said, too much calculations, you know?
Too much calculations, yes. And thus, a new meme has been born.
Oh, man. Raid is managing to keep ahead of Jakob in a fairly decent manner. He's keeping him at around 5/10 away. As Brian
And
Berry
now,
gets a 3-second time penalty.
We have an
That's
advancement. Jacob
getting a
Snacks
3-second
has
time penalty.
decided to go into the pits for new fresh mediums.
Yeah, I think Igor being awarded a 3-second time penalty there was not really fair by the game. He missed his braking point, held his brakes on for too long as well, locked up, went off track, but obviously gave the position back to Scruffy, allowed time to pass, so the game is actually being overtly harsh there.
And you have established that the game penalty system is very harsh. We had seen Scrubblord getting disqualified from qualifying through no fault of his own. He just spun and tried to make way for other cars to pass. We had that happen to Door as well. So yeah, that's not a big news that the game has been harsh to a driver.
going to be a lot of fighting from Jakob to try to get ahead, and obviously a lot of fighting from Scrub to try to keep Jakob behind, because Scrub is Igor's teammate, so he's going to try to give his teammate as much as an advantage as he can.
Yeah, so there's a total in front of Scrap to keep those cars behind him. He's obviously on the same strategy as Vlad, but he's not on the same strategy as Jacob. Jacob has much fresher tires, also the softer compound, so I don't see Scrap holding him up much longer, obviously. They are now side by side, now Jacob is fully in front, and that's job done even before turn 1. And there was a big snap of oversteer for Scrub as well that ruined his chances of getting bad at Jacobs. Sorry, you were saying?
I was going to say that it's... Even though Scrub managed to cut off about a second from Jakob, that might still be enough of an advantage for Igor to get across the line safely with the hards.
Possibly.
I'm curious as to what Deathlink strategy is right now. I know Jakob is trying to undercut Deathlink by pitting earlier than him. And trying to maintain his lead in
Jesus
that
is now
way.
pressuring Tundra for the 13th place. He has been very close to him for the past few laps. He's thinking about it definitely. He's trying to go from the outside on the Ascari chicane, but the inside line has proven to be superior, and he had to slot in behind the Alpine driver. Meanwhile, Deathlink has pitted, which allowed Jacob Snacks to get ahead and also overtake the Alfa Romeo of Fawaz. I don't know what Deathlink is thinking. Maybe his tires went away and he's now decided to pit on softs. If there's gonna be another safety car, Deathlink has just won the game, but that's a big gamble this late into the race. Daxter has left the session. He was obviously retired for quite a while now. So we still have 18 drivers racing for the win.
This is it's an interesting situation. Scrappy is definitely gaining time on Igor, making his pace
Someone spun.
difference.
Someone spun. That's a Mercedes, and that
That
is a
is
Mercedes
Scrub.
of Scrublord. Yes. Fortunately, he does not have any damage, but that's another car that has been spun around into the Ascari chicane. Mizzy, meanwhile, pitting for new softs, and Jacob Snacks has managed to pull out a fastest lap of the session. Oh, that was a very close near miss from Tundra, almost going into the back of Scrublord, which allowed Mizzy to get ahead of the Alpine.
Igor setting the purple sector 3, I think.
Yeah, he's actually getting closer to Scruffy now.
He's increasing his pace right now. It's getting quicker and quicker. Here's
I think he decided that's the time to strike, because
Yeah.
Scruffy's tires are gonna be very much worn at this point. And we have another spin, and that was Scrub yet again on the same corner as before. He's still not out of the race, but I think he now will be forced to pit. I saw him collided with the wall, so I can only assume his front wing will be damaged a little bit. Actually, no, I see both the end plates on their places. So no, he decided to stay out, but will he be able to hold Splatbeef behind? Splatbeef obviously on fresher tires, but both of them have the DRS, so no position changes so far.
Honestly, I'm gonna suggest riding on board with Igor just to see how quick he's trying to increase his pace, and the amount of snaps that he has per corner. It's just beautiful. Honestly, this is incredible driving from Igor.
So let's see, we're now on board with Igor. Into the first corner we go. Obviously no DRS on this occasion because there is no car in front of him in the 1 second gap. That was very much on the limit there. Almost spun on the outside of turn 1 into the Curva La Grande we go, hugging the inside line neatly and tidy. He has the target inside. There is a Red Bull of Scruffy. Now into the braking zone, into turn 3, into the second chicane. Also very scrappy out of the corner into the first Lesmos, hugging the curb on the outside, using as much of the space he gets, kissing the curb on the inside and using as much of the curb on the outside yet again on the second Lesmos. And now here we go into the second DRS zone. No DRS for him yet again, as he has not made enough ground to catch the car in front for 1 second. Into Ascari chicane, neat and tidy, no additional slip, no counter steer needed on this occasion. And now into the back straight. He has made up 2/10 in this lap alone to the car in front. Parabolica neat and tidy, used the curb on the outside, used as much of the space as he could, but not enough to make it a track limit violation.
You can tell he's pushing very hard.
Yeah, he's trying and he's trying hard to catch that car in front. He has now 3 laps left to do just that. 2 seconds to do that. I don't know if he will be able to. Also that time penalty. Unless Scruffy makes a mistake, I don't see Igor winning that race. And now Igor makes a mistake on his own. Lost 4-5 tenths just because of that gravel trap trip alone. So, as I said, unless Scruffy makes a mistake, I think we have a race winner on our hands. And that's gonna be Red Bull driver.
Yeah, I think that is pretty much what's going to happen. Deathlink has swapped for softs 4 laps ago, as was expected. And I think we are now starting to see the final positions showing up.
Yeah, but don't forget about the time penalties. That's gonna make a mess of the leaderboard.
Yeah.
And we have another pit escapade. I think that's Ek. Yes, it is. He was on 8 lap old mediums, so I can only assume he had another damage to his front wing, and he went in to replace that.
No, I'm quite sure Scruffy with his 17 lap old mediums is pushing fairly close to the breaking point of those tires, so we can still have final lap drama. It's still expected.
Yeah, very much so. Raid is also in the mix. Look at that. He's now way clear of Jacob Snacks. He has 12 seconds to the next car, which is AIM, and he's in the mix. If either of those two drivers in the first and second make a mistake, Raid is sure to take their place. And we have a spin. That's Bev Jesus. He's now back on the track, but he lost, I think that was 2 places. Not sure. And now Vlad is going very close to Fawaz, and he's thinking about an overtake into the Ascari chicane, and he now completes the overtake into Ascari chicane. He's now in front of the Alfa Romeo driver. as we had, I think that was Bahrain Berry leaving the session, so his car is now piloted by the AI. And another spin from Periland this time. Periland is spun around in Parabolica. Wonder if two guys will collide with them, but no. He managed to get out of the way quickly enough for them to clearly pass him. So let's see. Will Fawaz will be able to overtake Vlad the Meatman? No, Vlad the Meatman has the DRS open. He managed to keep the position through the pit straight. So no position changes for the time being, but that was a very close call with Periland out there. And that's another spin. And that's Scrablord this time. Into the Parabolica. Red meanwhile dropped a little bit from the two leaders. Igor meanwhile managed to close the gap.
Looking at Scruffy. He's making mistakes, his tires are difficult, they're barely managing to keep grip. I think this is the final lap shenanigans we were expecting. And if Igor was to appeal his penalty, which I saw live, I think more than likely that penalty might get rescinded.
So let's keep a close watch then. He's now into the 1 second gap that he needs to get that DRS assistance, to get himself closer to the Red Bull ahead. And obviously that actually might come true. As we had another yellow flag in sector 3, another car making a mistake into the Ascari chicane. Looks like the Alpine of Periland yet again. He's dropping places obviously on very old mediums, and now Igor is inching closer and closer towards Scruffy. That's obviously last lap, and those back markers are not gonna help Scruffy to get away from Igor, and now Igor instead is getting blocked by the Aston Martin of Bahrain Berry, I assume.
Bahrain Berry, yeah. Oh, that's very unfortunate.
It is very unfortunate for Igor. So, here we are, across the line, and Scruffy takes the first place in the Italian Grand Prix. Igor coming home second, and Raid to take the final step of the podium. Honestly, that race was something. We had action going on through the entire race. I'm lost for words.
Lots of action, not many mistakes. Well, obviously if you account for the spins. No ill-mannered incidents, I'd say. It was a very clean race.
It was, definitely. There was no incident caused by dirty driving, which is very good. With a couple of mistakes, obviously, but those are basically impossible to get rid of. And we had some good racing all across the scoreboard, so I'm very happy with how the race turned out, especially compared to the another tier.
Oh yeah. Don't need to remind me.
Yeah.
Was a lot of incidents, such as track limit cutting here, which I think were given unfairly to many drivers obviously going into the runoff in the first chicane, missing their braking points. It's gonna be a lot.
Yeah. So there you have it, folks. Scruffy taking the win of the Italian Grand Prix, Igor following up with a second place, and Raid with the final step to the podium. Then we have Aim, Jacob Snacks, Deflink, Vlad the Meatman, Fauwas, Corny and Tundra closing up the top 10. I had a great time watching this race, and I hope you also had a great time following it with us. Ejin, do we wanna do interviews with the guys?
Yeah, we should do. So we need to bring in obviously Scruffy, Igor, and Raid. I think Raid got P3.
I don't see either of them in the waiting room. There is Igor in the cooldown room, but I don't see the other two podium sitters. Do you wanna get somebody else?
I don't think Scruffy wants an interview. We do have Raid ready for an interview.
Hello.
Hello, Raid.
Hello.
How are you feeling about the third place? Do you think maybe there was some more pace to squeeze out, and maybe you could have challenged for the higher steps?
No, today this was it. But I'm happy. Finished one place above qualifying, so.
Honestly, yeah,
Stuff.
gaining a place with obviously being third in a race with drivers such as Scruffy and Igor is obviously just as good as fighting them, because you did have a chance to actually fight them quite well from what I've seen.
Yeah, I mean, I just made a few fuck ups and a few things happen on track. Nothing dirty or incidents,
No,
but.
no.
So how do you feel
Overall, it was a
about the
clean
safety
race.
car? Did it help you or did it not?
I mean, I think it kind of did, but I shouldn't have committed to joining the others on the strategy because I just followed Igor in, which I shouldn't have done in my opinion, but I don't know.
Okay, then one last question. Spaghetti or pizza?
Pizza.
Okay, thank you for your time.
No problem.
You are wrong, but thank you anyway. Who should we
We'll
get
get
next?
Igor in. Igor in.
Hello, Igor. How do you feel about the second place? Do you think maybe you could have gotten that illusional first place?
Yeah, I think so. If I didn't mess up, T1 locked up, and went straight on and then just got a 3-second penalty.
Also, we saw you
oh.
getting blocked by the back markers on the very last lap. Do you think maybe if they weren't there, could you have challenged Scruffy into Parabolica?
It would have been tight, but possibly. I mean, it was pretty good pace the whole race, so I was pretty happy with it. Finally got rid of the qualifying bug, so I'm happy.
So good to hear that. Any more questions, Sergin?
Mouse, we should be springing the question on everyone. Obviously, this was an Italy Grand Prix. Igor.
Yep.
Spaghetti or pizza?
Oof. I might have to go with pizza on this one because I'm craving pizza right now.
I see.
Everybody's wrong today. It's
Yeah,
just...
we can no longer be friends. I'm
Oh.
sorry. Up to the cooldown you go.
Rip. Disqualified from the season.
Yeah, that was a great race, regardless. I honestly really thought that you were going to get Scruffy there at the end. I think if there was one more lap, that would have been it.
Definitely.
Yeah, definitely. If it was a little bit longer, I think I would have gotten him on tires, but it was a good one.
Yeah. Well raced from both of you, honestly.
Thank you very much. Yeah.
And I think that's a wrap, Mouse.
Yeah, that's a wrap.
Thank you, everyone, for watching Tier 1 Monza. What have we got next week? From what I remember, I think we have Spa next week, so that will be an interesting race as well.
So you spy with your little eye that we have a Belgian Grand Prix coming up?
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay, that was the awkward joke from the commentator of the day, and we can wrap things up with that. Thank you everyone for watching. Thank you for tuning in. Hope you had a great time, as I already said, and I hope to see you guys next week.